This is Reasonable Doubt with your hosts, Mark Garrigus and Gary Smith.
Okay, welcome to Sunday Bard. We're worshiping at the altar. Gary, why does everybody give you crap? I was going to say something else about your color.
About my color?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like they talk about Gary needs to do this, he needs to do that. He's, his color is vampire-like. What is that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a product of the fact that I record in a dark room with just one, light here that's sort of sitting next to the camera, and it tends to wash me out a little bit. I think they're right on that one.
Really? Well, and there's a couple of guys who comment who are really into it.
Yeah, there are some very passionate people over things that I wonder what they've got going on in their personal lives that they have this kind of time and passion to really give their thoughts. It's interesting.
Okay, yeah, I just thought I would bring that up. We have quite a show tonight.
Yes, we do. I think we're going to start with something that you saw on MSNBC earlier this week, and I'll just go ahead and roll the tape on that one.
Thank you.
Because the whole thing with this case is, well, how grave is it? How serious is it? And now they can bring into the courtroom in Florida, well, this is how serious it was. There were U.S. military plans to attack Iran.
Wait a
and the
second,
president.
Gary, I have one question. Why is she hopping like that? Why is Alex getting like?
I don't know. She's exceptionally animated, and I've watched.
What is that? She's like, it's like I'm sitting in a chair. What the heck is that?
I couldn't tell you. I've watched longer versions of this as well, and you are right. She is very animated, and she's picking up papers off the desk and waving them around, and she's clearly very, very excited.
Okay, let's go. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
No problem.
Well, this is how serious it was. There were U.S. military plans to attack Iran, and the president was waving them around to just anybody, just so that he could basically have a war of words with Mark Milley and try and win that war.
That's right. And we've always known that episode was enormous in terms of demonstrating Trump's intent, right? He says to the people assembled there, I shouldn't be showing you this, but look at this. Now we have the document in question. You'll remember that after the initial indictment, Trump told multiple media outlets, no, I never had a document, or I was rummaging around in my drawers. I have newspaper articles and all sorts of stuff. It must have been one of those. Oh, they were some plans. Oh, I really just meant golf course plans. He was all over the place in explaining what this was, but he repeatedly denied that he had a classified document that was shown to the people at Bedminster. We now know definitively that is not true. The special counsel would not have put...
Okay. I'm not going to comment on the couture, but we now know definitively. What is she talking about?
It's certainly a quite the assertion. Definitively, is it?
How do we know definitively off of a probable cause document?
I certainly don't think that we do, but they are certainly running with this and making it so seem as though the superseding indictment just basically confirms guilt.
Okay, let's keep going.
Okay, there's just a few seconds left here. Just give me 1 sec to get it back up.
Sorry.
No problem.
We now know definitively that is not true. The special counsel would not have put in the indictment that the document he waved around was in fact the document charged in count 32 unless they have very crystal clear evidence of that.
What? What? Gary, you tell me, what do you take away from that?
I take away that they're certainly trying to paint a narrative there by saying that
crystal clear. Okay, by the way, there are definitions of crystal clear and convincing. That's not probable cause.
No, it's not. And they're certainly running with that narrative and trying to paint it as though it's something that I really don't think that it is.
Wow. Just astonishing. Okay. What's the next little video that we have?
Well, we've got, let's see, we've got the former president, just at a campaign rally. I'll just let this speak for itself.
We have somebody that's not at the top of this game, never was at the top of a game, never was. We have a guy who's a dumb son of a bitch, and to allow this to happen, our country.
Crowd certainly liked it.
Yeah, one more time.
Okay, let's do it. Let's see here.
We have somebody that's not at the top of this game, never was at the top of a game, never was. We have a guy who's a dumb son of a bitch, and to allow this to happen, our country.
You know, the lower right is the best. I don't know if you noticed that. It's pretty good.
It is. It's pretty great. The people in the crowd there who are they're eating it up. They're certainly a big fan of his.
Yeah. Well, look, the me as part of the liberal left crowd, we are the biggest idiots that have ever lived.
Yeah, absolutely. It's frankly hard to really wrap your head around. In other news this week, we had a Republican leader who was speaking to press, and
let's play this. This is unreal.
After finishing the NDA this week has been good bipartisan cooperation and a string of
Are you good? Mitch?
Okay, Mitch? Anything else you want to say, or should I just go back to your office? Do you want to say anything else to the press? Go back.
Go ahead, John.
I'll take it back. Let's go back to you.
Go ahead, John.
Kind of hard to watch there. You know, Mitch McConnell in the middle of giving remarks to a press pool at the Capitol, and seems to just freeze up a little bit. It's worth noting that he did come back 10 or 15 minutes later and was able to face the press and answer their questions, and at least by his staff's assertion, for an extended period of time, longer than he would normally answer questions. He was asked if that freeze up had anything to do with his fall earlier this year that required hospitalization for a little while, and he didn't really address it. He just said, "I'm fine," and kind of steamrolled past.
Do we have the clip where he says he's fine?
Yeah, we do. If you vamp for me for just a second here, I can find it.
Because, by the way, if you're going to be honest about what's happening, Feinstein, Fetterman, Mitch, it's wild what's going on here.
Yeah, it really is. Let's see here. I do have it. It's just going to take me a moment to find it. But
I have somebody in the comments will make a snarky remark. By the way, he froze up the senator who kind of came to his aid. Is a doctor, right?
Yes, and that was something that I thought was reported in a weird way to a certain extent, because there were questions as to whether or not he had seen a doctor. There is an argument the fact that he was escorted back to his office by a doctor, even if it wasn't a doctor that was called as a result of the situation. But let's see here. It looks like I do have that return now.
Could you address what happened at the start of the press conference, and was it related to your injury from earlier this year where you suffered a concussion? Is that
I'm fine.
You're fine? You're fully able to do your job?
Mr. Lear, can I just get your reaction to what appears to be Hunter Biden's plea deal falling apart? What are your thoughts?
Well, there are a lot of people in the House who are better lawyers than I am, and it's a bit confusing now. I'm not sure what happened this morning, but to the extent that it looks like the administration is treating Democrats more favorably than Republicans, I can understand why people in the House are upset about it. Yeah.
So that leads into another big story from this week that I think that you'll probably have some thoughts on, which is Hunter Biden, was scheduled to plead guilty to 2 tax charges for improperly, being late on his tax payments. And then he was also going to enter a diversion program in relation to the gun charge for the gun that he discarded in a trash can, apparently in a, addiction fueled episode. And that case fell apart. That plea deal fell apart upon, light questioning from the judge about the particular details of what was agreed to. And
by the way, that judge, you can call her a Trump judge, which everybody does,
yep.
Or you can say it blew up the plea deal. She asked
very, very basic questions. She was asking basically the big question was whether or not the plea deal protected Hunter Biden from potential foreign relations. What's the acronym?
FARA.
Yes, the FARA registration, and whether or not there could be potential further charges down the road relating to his dealings with foreign.
By the way, this was what is usually called a Rule 11 plea deal. That is highly, highly disfavored.
Yeah. And basically, so for anyone who's not been in the weeds on this, basically the judge asked, can there be further charges coming down the road for his dealings with Chinese and Ukrainian businesses? And the prosecutor said, yes, there could be further charges. And the defense attorney said, no, that's not my understanding. And if that is the case, then there's no deal. The judge then ordered multiple recesses, basically attempting to get the two sides to confer and get on the same page. And ultimately she ruled that she didn't think that what they were asking was constitutional, and she didn't think that she could agree with it. And she didn't outright, deny the opportunity for a plea deal. She basically gave them 30 days to figure it out, but she expressed considerable concern about what they were putting in front of her.
The great synopsis. Let's play that.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I said great synopsis.
Yes. Thank you. All right. We also have a potential Republican nominee for president who was on the morning shows this morning. And when presented with a question about the new charges surrounding Trump's superseding indictment, he was asked whether or not he would stick to his previous position that he was going to pardon Trump if he were to win the presidency. Let's check that out.
But let's move on now to federal prosecutors added new obstruction of justice charges against former President Donald Trump on Thursday. The indictment, the superseding indictment, says that after Trump learned that the Justice Department wanted to subpoena security footage from Mar-a-Lago, Trump talked with an aide who later told the IT director at Mar-a-Lago that, quote, the boss, end quote, wanted the footage deleted. Now, I know you've said repeatedly that you would pardon Trump in this document's case, but this is significant new information. So given this new information, would you still pardon him if you were president?
The standard I use as our next president is what moves our country forward. What is the right thing for the United States of America?
Right. And would having a president like this move it forward? The right answer is to move on, and I would pardon him. I intend to be our next president. And yes, I do believe I will move us forward. And yes, I think one of the right ways to do that is to pardon the former president of the United States from what is clearly a politicized prosecution. And I'll share a view with you, Casey. This is not specific to Trump. This is part of my broader view on the justice system in our country. I think that our general norm in our Justice Department is you should not convict somebody of a process crime when there was no actual underlying crime. I think that's a major problem. So you think destroying evidence is a process crime?
I think it is, by definition, a process crime. Nobody left, right, any legal scholar will agree with me on that statement. That is, by definition, a process crime, a crime that would not have existed but for the existence of an investigation. And if we look ourselves in the mirror over the last several years, even look at the acquittals in the Gretchen Whitmer case, the fact that 2 people were acquitted of entrapment, I think it is a bad habit that our FBI and DOJ have gotten into, intervening and creating crimes that would not have existed but for their action. And I think as it relates to moving forward as a country, I absolutely think the right answer for the country is to put the grievances of the past behind us, to pardon President Trump so that we can move forward as one nation rather than marching to a national divorce.
So that's presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy, I believe is how you pronounce it. And he's certainly taking a hard line there. It's, with quite a bit of pushback from the CNN host there. What are your thoughts, Mark?
Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree with him. I mean, he's talking about process crimes. It's interesting. Let's go to the next.
All right. So we're going to move a little bit into a different area here, but there was recently an acquittal of a prominent actor, and let's see what he had to say on the steps of the courthouse.
I imagine that many of you can understand that there's a lot for me to process after what has just happened today. But I would like to say that I'm enormously grateful to the jury for having taken the time to examine all of the evidence and all of the facts carefully before they reach their decision. And I am humbled by the outcome today.
So that's Kevin Spacey.
Wow. Yeah, Kevin Spacey. That was in London, right?
Yes, it was. That was in London. I believe he was acquitted of all. It was either 8 or 9. I believe it was 9 charges, right?
So his Massachusetts was AJ. New York was Jennifer. And now London, who was his lawyer?
I'm not sure. Let me see if I can pull that up here. But he was acquitted of all charges and
total trifecta.
It's, look, it's one of those things where at first you go, if there's smoke, there's fire, but it certainly seems like he's beaten it at every turn.
Time. I mean, he has been in 3 jurisdictions and he's beaten it 3 times.
Yeah, it's it's going to be interesting to see whether or not he's welcomed back into the Hollywood fold after all of this. It's
well, that's a different.
Yes, that's definitely a different bar, bar of whether or not he'll be allowed back. Hollywood plays by different rules, so to speak.
I love it.
Jewelry is having a big moment right now, and with hundreds of products popping up in your feed every day, it can be hard to find a brand you trust. Alex and Ani has been creating meaningful jewelry for over 20 years, designing pieces that connect you with all of life's important moments. With an emphasis on value, there's truly something for everyone. You might be most familiar with their signature charm bangle. This bracelet literally created the category of meaningful jewelry and had you stacking charms from your wrist to your elbow. This piece is an icon for a reason. Completely size inclusive, each bracelet is adorned with a symbol designed to tell your story and express your unique style. Beyond the bangle, you'll find stylish, affordable jewelry for every occasion, from classic pieces to bold statement looks. Don't know where to start? Alex and Ani makes it easy to unpack the trends you're after and sprinkle in your personality too. Each piece comes with a personalized message and meaning, truly making it the perfect gift. You can take comfort in knowing that you're shopping with a socially conscious brand as well. To date, Alex and Ani has donated over $60 million to nonprofits worldwide, connecting fashion and philanthropy in an easy, fun, affordable way. Visit alexandani.com right now to discover the confidence that comes with a perfectly accessorized piece of jewelry. Right now, Alex and Ani is offering our audience 20% off with code Midas at checkout. Again, head to alexandani.com. That's alexandani.com and use code Midas at checkout for 20% off your order.
We have anything else? What's our last?
Patrick Gibbs, by the way, was the name of was the name of his lawyer in the UK case. I think that the last thing I'd like to touch on with you is something we don't necessarily have media for, but I would like to hear your thoughts on the Brian Kohberger case. His team came out this week and has basically said that they are prepared and intend to present evidence stating that he was somewhere else at the time of the crime, an alibi, so to speak, but they've been a little cagey about that and haven't really given details. What exactly, what's your analysis on that? And what are your thoughts about the fact that they basically filed saying we're going to present this, but we're not going to present it now?
They are so smart, so sharp, and anybody who says they aren't doesn't understand the idea of criminal defense. I mean, I just love what they're doing. Great defense team. They're all in.
Yeah, they're pretty slick if you ask me. Just kidding. Sorry, that's
slick.
There's an inside joke for For anyone who follows Mark's media appearances, that was something somebody asked Mark about, and he's not fond of that term when it comes to defense attorneys. So just a little joke in there for Mark's benefit. But Mark, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it.
You got it. Thanks, Gary.
All right. Have a great one. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Reasonable Doubt. Subscribe on YouTube at youtube.com/Reasonable Doubt Podcast.